Hi, and welcome to another Pro Tip conversation. Today, Anisha and I are talking with Bree Knitter. Bree is a professional Muay Thai fighter, currently living and competing in Thailand. Her fighting record is an 11-1 amateur record and 7-0 professional record. So she was with Team USA IFMA 2021, USMTO, and TBA 2021 national champion, WCE 61 kilogram title, Glory 88 Team Van Soest?
Yeah, Van Soest.
Am I way off? Sorry. Team Primo and Phuket Singha Muay Thai sponsor, athlete, and current WMO number 5 professional world ranking in your division, which is 61 kilograms.
Yes.
Okay, I think I got through that.
Good job.
And just to get going, one, thanks for joining us today. I know you're in Thailand and this time difference is kind of crazy, but we really appreciate you making the time.
Yeah, no problem.
And what got you going and started in Muay Thai?
So it's a funny story. I actually got started on Muay Thai with a Groupon. I didn't even know what Muay Thai was, and my ex-boyfriend bought me a Groupon to a Muay Thai gym that was across the street from where I was living. And I didn't even know what Muay Thai was. And but I was hooked from day one.
Was that gym? Was that Fight and Fitness, or was another gym you started with?
No, it was K1. So at the other end of Van Ness in San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
And I was living on Polk in Washington, and it was really cool. And I think it was a big factor because there were 2 women who were running a women's program inside the gym, and they had both lived and fought in Thailand. So they were really influential in getting me started and getting me interested in Thailand. And yeah.
And how long did you train at that gym for?
About a year.
About a year.
Yeah.
And then how'd you was it Rise Combat when you found it? What Fight and Fitness Rise Combat?
Yeah. So in the first year, started Muay Thai. I was doing double days. I was getting up early and then going again after work, and I wanted to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I jumped fully in, and I was always really athletic, and even after college sports, I always stayed in shape. So I kind of already had that going for me, and they planned a trip to Thailand. So we went out to Thailand in March 2017, and I had a fight out here.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
And did you? I mean, did you do a bunch of smokers before that, or amateur
I
fights?
did one smoker. Yeah, I did one smoker against a girl I was supposed to fight much later as an amateur, which was funny. I guess it's kind of a small community. And then I found
it really is.
Rise and Fight Fitness through with the women's gym. It kind of they needed to find a new location, and they were kind of shopping around, but it kind of that group kind of fizzled out. So with them, I just had gone to try Fight and Fitness, and then I met Bunkered, and I was going to classes there, and then Bunkered pulled me in to join the fight team. But for some reason, Bunkered called me. He told Tony, who was working the front desk, he was talking about me, but he was saying Brittany from Arizona. And it's why he called me Brittany and why he thought I was from Arizona, I have no idea. But that's kind of a joke.
That's pretty funny. Yeah. And do you train primarily with Bunker? Do you train with Nungsiam at all?
No, I never trained with Nungsiam. I always trained with Bunkered, and so I started training with him in 2017. And we had a really good thing going, and the more I learned about Thailand later, he really did Thai style training with the 4 or 5 fighters that we had at the time. He'd do pads with each of us individually while the other people did bag, and then we did sparring. But his system was really similar to what I'm doing now over here.
Oh yeah. That's interesting here, because for folks who don't know, Bunker came out of the old school Muay Thai Thailand world, and lived and trained in Thailand for most of his life.
And I think kind of just for different reasons, and how the gym has grown and changed with COVID, he's not really doing that style with his little fight team anymore. So I just feel like
Okay.
it was really special time.
Yeah. And then had you hadn't done martial arts previously to that before you
No,
started?
no, not at all.
But you did say you played pretty high level volleyball
Yeah.
for
So
college.
yeah, I've been an athlete like my whole life. So I did club growing up for volleyball. I was like almost 6 feet tall since I was like 12. They wanted me to play
Okay. Yeah.
basketball, but I did not like basketball, and then got into
Yeah.
volleyball, and then eventually got a college scholarship. So I played at Oregon State back in the Pac-10 days.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, yeah, so that was great.
So you've been an athlete for a really long time, and then just found Muay Thai and just kind of fell in love with the sport. That's awesome. And then it sounded like when you started Muay Thai, you kind of felt like you wanted to compete right from the start.
Yeah, so I think that was what was missing from my life for a long time, since I always was an athlete. But then, kind of when college volleyball came to a close, like I was
Yeah.
very fed up with like my whole life being run by volleyball.
Okay.
So I kind of went away from that. I did pretty much, I mean, constantly doing sports, and was really into my gym. I lived in Europe for like 6.5 years, and
Okay.
did like CrossFit and spin, and was always running. But I wasn't competing. So I think that when I found Muay Thai, like that competitive drive came out in me again.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. I think so. You kind of said to this. So you lived abroad before you moved to Thailand. So that wasn't entirely a new experience. Just getting out of the country and living somewhere else.
Yeah, that's definitely not different. I mean, Europe and Asia are very different,
Well, yeah.
but I think like being kind of on my own and being in a new country and being away from home, like, yeah, that was a familiar situation.
Yeah.
So you said you started the Groupon incident. That was 2017 when you first got into it?
2016.
2016. Oh, wow. So in just 6 years, you've come this far. So that's pretty awesome.
That's wild.
At what point when you started, did you start thinking about, okay, maybe moving to Thailand maybe that's an option for me at this point?
I got my first taste of Thailand when I came out here with the women's group that I was training with, and it always kind of seemed like a long shot, but something that was in my mind. And yeah, so I don't know. I think I kind of always had it in the back of my mind. And as the more I was training, the more like I wanted to move over here and do it full time. But kind of deciding how much I wanted to completely give up everything in USA, and if it was going to be coming out here to train full time for like 3 months or 6 months. And what I've learned from being out here, if you do want to commit to it, it's just the whole country is set up for training. So there's people here who will train me for 5 to 6 hours a day, and my gym sponsors me, so that's all paid for. And then America has a great Muay Thai scene and a lot of like really awesome fighters, but it's a small scene and it's so far from kind of the hub of Muay Thai. So being over here, like if you really want to make it and go far and have fight opportunities and get all of that training, like you really have to stay. And if you want to make it a career, you kind of got to stay here for a long time. Yeah.
So when was it that you moved there on more of a permanent basis?
So I had planned, I'd been saving money. I saved money for almost 3 years, kind of not knowing how long I would be over here, but wanting to do it. And I quit my job at the end of 2019 and moved to Bangkok in January 2020. And then,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was kind of a nightmare.
The timing was tough.
Like, I had an amazing job. I was doing great. I loved my job. And then now here I am. Muay Thai is canceled for the foreseeable future and I'm unemployed.
Jeez.
Yeah, alone in Bangkok. So yeah, the first go was kind of an epic fail. Then I went back to San Francisco, Oakland, and kind of just did this and that. And then I started helping out with Fight Fitness, which is now Rise Combat, co-managing it and doing teaching and doing privates and kind of doing like whatever I could to kind of stay afloat, not eat too much into my savings. And then Thailand finally opened up again to Americans in September 2021. So I came out soon after that.
Oh, wow. So you had to kind of bide your time for a year and a half, just, keep the dream alive effectively, right?
Yeah, because I mean, had I kind of gone back to working like a corporate job, like I feel like I would have been giving up. It's like usually if you go to, you kind of committed to that. So yeah, I kind of waited, and luckily 2020 was obviously a kind of a nothing year for Muay Thai, but I was really lucky to be able to continue training. Bunkered lives about 5 miles away from me. So I would run to his house and we'd do pads in the backyard, and then I'd run home. So some days I was trying to keep my Thailand shape, running almost 10 miles, doing pads with Bunkered. Yeah.
That's amazing.
I had this vision of Bunkered being, I mean, if you haven't met Bunker's a shorter guy and you're like 6 feet tall. Like, I've seen him do it for guys who are like 6'3", and he can do it.
Even when he teaches classes, he tells people like, do same your partner's level. So if you're with a tall partner, you gotta hold pads up here.
Yeah, he'll do it. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
that's pretty awesome. I mean, I guess this wasn't part of the original questions, but given the story that you're telling us, at any point did you consider that maybe I will go back to a corporate job, or like what kind of kept you going, or because at one point with COVID, we didn't know when the light at the end of the tunnel was, right? Like it just seemed like it was going to go on forever. Nobody knew when things would open up. So, what kind of kept you motivated to keep going?
2021 was a better year. So there was a good amount of fights. So I fought, I think six times in 2021, and I did both those national tournaments, and then was on the IFMA Team USA team. So I think I got to kind of have more productivity and reaching my fighting goals in 2021. But yeah, it was tough. I think also, even though I love Muay Thai, I think there's not a ton of money in it, and so there's like a lack of financial security, which is very challenging. So I think there's always kind of I know it'd be an easier road for sure to go back to doing kind of a more corporate job.
Makes sense. I guess in terms of your time in Thailand, how has it been adjusting to a new country? I guess you said you lived in Europe for a while, so you have some experience, but I think Asia's quite different than Europe, right? So
yeah, and Phuket's special. It's like, I think the most touristy part of Thailand probably. So English is spoken in most places, almost to my detriment. Like I'm studying Thai and I'm like, I want to practice Thai. And even when I practice my Thai, they usually answer me in English. Yeah. And so, I mean, Phuket is, like I said, more touristy. So you do have access to like Western food and, but I guess, I mean, it's been an okay adjustment. I had made 4 trips to Thailand before moving to Phuket. So I kind of knew how Thailand was. But I think the more you're here, you kind of learn to live like the Thais live. And like maybe $20 doesn't sound like that much, but that's 700 baht. Like that's a lot of money.
Right.
So it's kind of like if you want to be out here long term, you learn to kind of live in a more economic way and kind of do how the Thais do.
It's sharp contrast to San Francisco, which is like very expensive. Right?
Yeah. And when I get like worried about something being expensive, I'm like, Bree, that's like $20. Like you would spend $20 on like not even a full meal. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like 4 coffees in San Francisco.
Yeah.
It's crazy. When you were moving there, I guess in one of these trips, is that how you found the gym that you're currently at, or how did you find or pick the gym?
So in my kind of waiting period to come out here. I had done tons of research on all these different gyms, and Phuket was it was at the time, it was the only place that was open to tourists, which was good because a lot of the Bangkok shows had moved down here because there was a higher concentration of Farangs. And so, yeah, I knew I had to come to Phuket, so I researched all the gyms here. And then when I landed, I put up like a story at the Phuket airport, and Phuket Singha crew Pat sent me a message saying, "Welcome to Thailand." And they were on my list of places to train. And so I was like, "Oh, thank you so much. Like, can I come train with you?" And they're like, "Yeah, come." And so they kind of swooped in that way. And then just when I got here and started training at Singha, I had intentions of going to like other places, but I liked it so much, I just ended up staying.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think you touched on this a little bit in terms of the number of hours you train in Thailand, but have you seen any other differences in the way people train in Thailand versus in US?
Yeah, in Thailand, since it's like a Muay Thai system, like the NBA, the NFL, that Major League Baseball is like Muay Thai here. So there's tons of coaches. And so all of the gyms, like back in USA, I think a lot of the gyms either do like drilling classes or like partner pad classes, where here there's a Thai holding for you. So you're getting like really, really good pad work every single class. And then if you stay here a long time, or even if you're here a shorter amount of time, they usually line you up with like one trainer. So that trainer is going to hold for you every day and kind of help you make adjustments and teach you their style. So I guess that's probably the biggest difference in like how classes are back in USA.
And I guess if because of how popular it is down there, is it just a sheer volume of hours that you train is incomparable to the amount of time you would spend in the US, or is that dependent on like, I guess each fighter?
The expectation is, especially if you're like a sponsored fighter, the expectation is like to be at every session. And sorry, I don't know if I really understood the question.
Oh, I guess I was just wondering whether, like, in the U.S., are the pros training the same amount of hours as in Thailand, for example, or is it just go above and beyond in Thailand?
Yeah, Thailand is crazy, and I don't know if sports science has caught up to tradition here. So sometimes I definitely think we're kind of overdoing it a little bit. But I think it's really good. Like for me with my coach here, Crew Lai, like I feel like there's days where I don't even have to say anything and we're on a vibe that Bree shouldn't hit pads today. You know what I mean? Or this morning. Yeah. So I think they kind of understand. And once like you've been here, like I've been here almost a year and a half. And so I think my conditioning, like I'm definitely like so much stronger than I've ever been. Like I had an injury and didn't train in December, and then I started hitting pads like, what would that be, January 2nd, and then they're like, "You want to fight on Friday?" I was like, "Oh my god." And I was kind of freaked out, but I think like I was actually like pretty much okay, because I think just like from the volume, like my base level of fitness, oh, there's a cat behind me, is so much higher. So I mean, as tiring and maybe not scientific as it is, you can still see a benefit from the amount of hours that we put in.
Yeah. And can you, I guess, tell us what does your daily routine look like when you're there full time?
Yeah. So I wake up a little before 6 and have my breakfast, do my little morning routine. And then we run a 10K at 7. And then training is 8 to 10, but then fighters usually stay after and do a little extra conditioning. And so I'll usually get home around 10:45, and some of those efficiencies I talked about, like I usually cook at home. So I'll usually make my food, catch up on whatever I need to do, and then we're back to the gym. at 3:30. And so we run for about 20 minutes before, and then training again is 4 to 6. And then we do the same run that we do before training after training. So it's about like 10K in the morning and then another 5K in the afternoon. Wow. Yeah. And then same thing, evening rest. There's a lot of laundry involved.
Yeah. I feel like that's with, I've seen several pictures of people who are training a lot, and it's just like hand wraps hanging everywhere, drying.
Yeah.
And like, you just working through all your gym gear.
A friend of mine said Muay Thai is 50% running and 30% laundry.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. So with all of that training, how frequently are you fighting? Like on average, I guess.
I mean, I'm always ready and willing to fight as often as possible. I'd say if you can get a fight like every 1 to 2 months is pretty good, and that's my goal. Yeah, so I try not to pass up any opportunities that come my way. Last year was a weird year. I went back home in May and kind of that's when I decided I was going to fully commit. So I got rid of all of my stuff. I sold my car. I liquidated my life. So, so that kind of put me out for a little bit. And then I had a couple fights scheduled, and I got COVID, and then we rescheduled it, and then she got COVID. So it was almost like 5 months where I didn't have a fight last year. So you kind of don't know what's going to happen. People come to Thailand, and then you're scheduled to fight, and then something comes up and they leave Thailand. So yeah, and things can happen on a moment's notice. So maybe, like I said, like the last fight I had, they told me on Wednesday that I was asked if I wanted to fight on Friday. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty quick. I guess you're saying you kind of stay in fight shape all the time anyways, so it's just a matter of showing up.
Yeah. So I mean, when you're a professional, like it is your job to stay in shape and to be ready. And I think you get a lot of opportunities that way. Like some of my friends I was talking to the other night, they're like, can't you just take a couple months off? And Paris, who's the boxing coach, Paris Alexander, fought for the world title 6 times, lost all 6. That's his favorite claim to fame. But he's just like the best quotes, and he's just always just like spitting out wisdom. But I remember him saying, in boxing, there is no off season. So that's kind of how it is. Yeah.
And then, I mean, so with all of that training, how do you sort of find that balance of like you were kind of saying that the sports science and the volume of training maybe a little out of sync? How do you stay sort of healthy and not injured?
Yeah, I have a pretty good base in strength and conditioning. So I'm really good with kind of like functional stuff that I do on my own just to take care of my body. And then Thai massage, it's nice and cheap out here.
Nice.
Yep, I'm on it with the massages. And then also like if I'm feeling exhausted, and like right now I do have a fight scheduled, but it's about 5 weeks out. So, they're not always killing you. And even though it always feels very hard. It's very tiring, but for about the 10 days before you have a fight, like it is grueling. But I like for now, like since I kind of have some time in the mornings, like I'll do my run. And then when I get back, like I'll probably only hit pads in the morning a couple days a week. Otherwise they'll have me just do like conditioning stuff. And so I mean, I can find balance. I think the more you do it, the better you get at kind of knowing your body and trusting your body, and your trainer's trusting you, knowing that you're not like lazy or whatever.
Is there a lot of sparring in your training?
We spar almost every session. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So constantly.
Yeah, a lot of sparring, which I think is really good. And the way it works is they kind of break people up into groups, and usually fighters all go to the ring first, and then you'll do 3 to 6 rounds of sparring. So everyone gets 3 rounds on the pads. Generally, you'll do more if you have a fight coming up. So it's all broken down to like 3-round chunks. So maybe you'll do 3 rounds sparring, and then your coach will call you down. Some people will stay in the ring, and then you'll usually do 3 rounds pads, 3 rounds bag work, and then everyone clinches at the end.
Do you have to moderate the sort of sparring intensity so you don't like get worn out before a fight or something like that?
I mean, in Thailand, sparring is very much like supposed to be playful, and my gym is mostly like a Farang gym, so it doesn't have that like people don't come in knowing that. They kind of come in with that more Western let's spar.
I've had my butt kicked sparring by people who are trying to win a world championship.
Yeah. Yeah. So I try to explain that to people. I'm pretty selective with my sparring partners. And I mean, what I do like about Singha is like they do put everyone together, and there's all different levels, which is nice. But I mean, you kind of also just learn, like if I'm going with a beginner, like I'm not going to do too much just because I'm not trying to like bang knees and elbows with this person who isn't, doesn't have a lot of control, for example. Yeah.
So when you are getting ready for a fight, like, do you have like a pre-fight routine, like the day before or the morning of, or anything like that?
Yeah. I've always been a fan of look good, feel good, look good, feel good. Yeah. So I always do a mani-pedi before my fights. I always get my hair braided. Get a massage.
I've heard that quote from Nung Siam, the look good, feel good, fight good quote.
Yeah. And in another book, I've heard a guy say it too from like a sports psychology book. It was like, look good, feel good, play good. And if you play good, then pay good. So I like, I think we like, especially like fighters too, it's kind of more of like an individual sport. You obviously have your corner, but you're like, everyone's all eyes on you. So you like to look good.
I think if I'm not mistaken, that's a Deion Sanders primetime quote.
That sounds right. Yeah.
And then you fought a lot now, but do you still get any butterflies or anything before a competition?
Yes, I think everybody does. Me and Andrew, Andrew Capurro, he's another professional fighter from the Bay he's at Singha too. He's back home right now, but he was here for the better part of last year. And he's got like high 20s professional fights, and he like, you still get nerves. The stakes are higher. Like there's different circumstances. Like even I think like oddly enough, the least nervous I ever was when I fought at Lumpinee. Yeah, so I think for that fight, like I was able to just like really be grateful and appreciate the experience so much that I didn't really I really let go of the outcome. I was like, this is so cool. This was like a bucket list life goal. And I started that fight very slow, so maybe I was too chill. I won. And then I've been extremely nervous for like local stadium fights, or like once I got a world ranking, and then I was like, oh God, like what if I lose? Now I'm world ranked. And so it's like these weird things, or fighting down here, like you'll have more of your like friends in the audience. It's like maybe they're always watching streaming, but when everyone's there in person, like maybe you're feeling nervous because of that. Or my last fight, like they changed it the very last minute. Like I was supposed to be like middle of the card, and I was like filming my friend. It was like his first fight ever, and then they're like, "You're up," and I was just like, "What?" And so they're just like breathing and trying to smile and relax.
And so do you have like a technique you use to calm yourself, or just kind of go with it?
I think breathing is really important, and smiling, and like remembering like this is fun. Like this is what I always wanted to do. Like if you're too uptight, it's like I'll usually find a friend or somebody in the audience and give them a big smile, and think on the breathing, like a inhale and then a longer exhale. Breathing I always do to kind of just bring it down a notch.
Do you find that your background in playing competitive volleyball, does that did you ever get nerves the same way then, or is it different with Muay Thai?
That's a good question. I think I did have nerves with volleyball. Yeah, but
Is it different though? Because it's a team sport. It's a team sport, so you might have other people that you can bounce things off of, or like, I don't know.
I think so. I
I'm trying to.
Yeah, I think there's definitely like the nerves in volleyball where it's a close game and like they set the ball to you and you got to execute and
Right.
Or maybe like I remember on a really big play, I like lost, and it was like, and I lost that set for us. I like launched the ball into the band, like. But yeah, like you said, there are teammates, and then fighting is different. Like
right.
It's very physical. Yeah. It's dangerous. It's like you're a modern day kind of like gladiator warrior getting in there. Yeah. Like you could get very hurt, you know?
Right.
So that's definitely different than rolling your ankle in volleyball.
That's fair. Yeah. That's definitely fair.
That's the extent of my volleyball injuries. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you had to deal with too many injuries from fighting?
Some broken bones, but I've been lucky enough so far not to have anything kind of serious with like joints or I cut a girl my last fight 3 times, and my trainer's like, karma. I'm like, stop saying that. So my cuts might be coming, but
Oh no.
Yeah.
And then, so after you have a fight, do you have some way do you kind of unwind or celebrate or just kind of?
Yeah. So since I don't get a lot of time off kind of before, and I think maybe I'm a little hard on myself, I'm like, you gotta train. So even when I have a fight coming up, as it gets closer, I actually like plan part of like my pre-fight, like you're getting excited for what you're gonna do after the fight. So whether that's like taking a trip or I don't know, maybe getting a tattoo or just like something that you can have, like you're afforded those couple days off. And so it's nice to have that time.
Yeah.
But I don't have like a set
it's kind of it's kind of awesome that you're planning what you're going to do after. Because I mean, a lot of times when you have a goal and you reach that goal, whether that's the day of the fight or whatever, it feels like, okay, what next, right? So if you already have what next planned, then it's almost like you're able to kind of decompress immediately after, knowing what's like, you're not just sitting there thinking, okay, well, that's done. What do I do now, right? Like, so that's kind of cool.
I think it kind of like
it's a good strategy.
Dangle the carrot a little bit too.
Yeah,
like, get through this, and then you can do all these fun things and go eat all this good food, and
Yeah.
As you'd mentioned you competed at Lumpinee. Can you tell us a bit more how that was and how that experience was?
Yeah. So for those who don't know, women weren't allowed to compete in Lumpinee until late in 2021. And Lumpinee is the most prestigious Muay Thai stadium up there. Rajadamnern and Lumpinee are kind of neck and neck. But yeah, it's the King Stadium. It's actually owned by the Thai military. Can you hear my cats fighting?
It's okay. It's all right.
But so once women, you guys, once women were allowed to fight there, I was like, yes, like I can't wait. And that was something I really wanted to do. Stop it. I adopted a street kitten. I adopted a cat from a friend who left Thailand, and then this street kitten kind of just showed up, and I was feeding her outside for over a month. I was like, I don't need another cat, and then she worked her way into my heart. So now I have 2, and they're very playful. But Bunkerd was a Lumpinee champion, so it was such an experience to fight there and to be there. It was very surreal. And my next fight is actually going to be at Lumpinee again on March 4th.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then, so do you have an experience where you had sort of bad performance or bad day, and like kind of what you learned from that, or how you kind of bounce back from that?
Yeah, I think that Lumpinee fight was not my favorite. I only watched it
No.
back kind of recently. That was after I hadn't fought for 5 months, and so I feel like there was kind of some ring rust, and she was also the tallest person I'd ever fought. It was funny, my October and December fight, girl in October was the same height as me, and then in December she was actually a little bit taller than me. So that was totally new experience for me, dealing with the length. Yeah, I just didn't feel like I got a good flow going in that fight. But the cool thing with fighting, and like ideally fighting like at least every 1 to 2 months, is that like each time like you level up a little bit more. And you can train all you want, but like once the fight starts, everything, not necessarily goes out the window, but it's like
Right.
maybe I have like 10 things I'm really good at, but once you're in that ring, like in order to be able to exhibit all 10 things, that's like a very high level thing to do. And so it's kind of like, as time goes on, I see improvements, which is, I think, the best part.
Nice. Yeah. Because I guess in a way, it's kind of all theory until the bell rings and you have to act out all of this stuff.
Yeah. And like that, the girl had a very strange style. She was a very long southpaw.
Okay.
A little wild. So it's almost easier to fight against people with experience because they're slightly more predictable. Where when there's somebody
Right.
who's like very wild and unorthodox, you're like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
definitely seen cases at much lower level competitions of people just getting hurt by complete brand new amateurs because they're just doing completely unexpected things and you're just not prepared for it.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think is one of the toughest aspects of being sort of a pro fighter and living kind of the fighter lifestyle?
Mm, I think I've learned this kind of more and more as time's like gone by, and as I've been doing it, just with like the sacrifice, because like
Mhm.
it is my dream, and like I am so lucky to be doing this, and everyone, is like, wow, that's so cool, you're pursuing your dream, but then there's like a lot that you give up, so
Yeah.
it's like I love California, I love my family, but right now like I don't get to be around them, and a ticket home is like over a month of like money in Thailand.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of sacrifice. I think I said earlier, like financial stability, like Muay Thai, unfortunately, until you get to the top levels. And even then, like not many people are making very much money on Muay Thai. So kind of like I started doing some private. So then I'm hoping like working with like Protip, start to make like some more
Yeah.
income kind of just by like being like a subject matter expert, being able to like teach or share my experience, so I can still kind of like make some more money doing Muay Thai. But I think like the financial aspect is a big thing.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
sounds like we've talked to different athletes who've talked about just different ways they've like made sort of their sport and their passion also into something that like lets them get paid and keep doing what they're doing, be that running a gym or becoming a trainer or something else like that. Yeah, it's a pretty common story.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I think also Instagram is really important. I didn't like, I wasn't really a social media person, but like as you like show up on the internet every day and
Yeah.
contribute and make yourself a persona, then like some people will reach out to me and be like, and they'll want me to just do a little post about their company. And so kind of getting
Right.
like some social media money as that comes in, which is nice too. But also like
Yeah.
balancing, because you don't want to just become like an ads platform for other people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess it's a nice way to share out because you get a perspective and an experience that a lot of folks haven't had, so it's kind of a cool way to share
Yeah.
that.
And like the bottom line is when I'm 80 or whatever, or when I have kids, it's like when I look back at this, I'm not gonna be like, man, I wish I kept that sales job and made money. It's like, no,
Right.
like it's going to be the best thing to reminisce on when I'm older, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You'll have some great
I think
stories, I'm sure.
yeah, I think it's awesome hearing like, chase, like it's so true, but sometimes it's overlooked, which is that when you're chasing your dream, there are so many sacrifices that have to go into it that people don't see, and then they only see the final product, which is you're doing so well, right, in the fights and whatnot. But there's so much that work that has to go into that, including the sacrifices. So
Yeah.
yeah, kudos to you.
And I think it's like in Phuket too, is like, this is such like a vacation destination, or like a lot of my friends are like digital nomads. And so like, they're either like, they have the time and the money to kind of go do more things. And I kind of have to like pass up on a lot of stuff because like, I can't really afford to go on this trip with you guys, or like, I can't take the time off because I have training. So
Training.
yeah. So it's kind of, and I think I also realized that like for what I have given up, like I'm not going to half-ass this either, you know?
Right.
So you have to be like dedicated if you do want to like reach that highest level.
Makes sense. I guess switching gears a little bit, I think you touched upon this. So you mentioned Bunkered was, I guess, one of your first coaches, right? Would you say he's been the biggest coaching influence in your career so far?
Yeah. Definitely the coach that I worked with for the longest, and competed the most under. And then we actually are just like very close, especially like during the pandemic. And I mean, he's lived in USA, but his English isn't amazing. So
He's a quiet talker too. I've seen him do classes and people that are like,
yeah.
Not sure what he's saying.
But yeah, he trained me, and then like I like actually helped him get his citizenship, and then I like would help him take care of like some like stuff with like his like child support or like whatever it is, like got him health insurance, take him to the doctor. So yeah, we became like very, very close. And I was working at the gym, and my schedule was always the same as Bunkered's schedule. So we were there like Monday, Wednesday, Friday daytime, and then Tuesday, Thursday afternoon. Yeah, so definitely.
How has I guess working with them shaped your training philosophy, or even like your coaching philosophy?
I think Bunkered, like he is a basics man, and I think a lot of people they either want a shortcut or they want to do the flashy stuff. They want to do spinny stuff and jumping stuff, and like that's kind of fun to teach in class. But I think like if you want to be a fighter, like I think the fundamentals are so important. Even last Friday on one Lumpinee on the show, I watched, and like there's all these foreigners doing like spinning heel kicks and flying knees, and the Thais are just finishing them with like basics, with kicks, with like a nice cross. And so Bunkered says like one of his things like, I know it's really boring, but like always doing kicking, just like drilling the basics.
And I guess what's the best advice you've received from not just Bunkered, any trainer, I guess?
What's the best advice? That's hard. I guess Bunkered always say fight anybody, and so I think that's a good one. I think if you wait until you're ready and pass up on opportunities, they might not come to you, and kind of like you miss every shot that you don't take. My first only loss was at IFMA in December of 2021. And then my first fight after that was against the number one ranked Thai, fighting in MMA gloves. And she has like 300 fights. Like,
oh wow,
she breaks people's noses. Like, we're fighting in small gloves.
Yeah, so for folks who don't know, MMA gloves are very small and they hurt.
Yes. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. My confidence was really low, and I wanted to fight her at some point, but I didn't think it was going to be like now. but yeah, I ended up winning that fight. We were 1-1 after the second round, and it's entertainment Muay Thai, so it's 3-minute rounds. And then so had to go into the third round, and I got a standing 8 count. So on her, yeah. So I kind of stole it at the end, because I think had I not, like, her kind of being the star, kind of could have gone either way. So
she's crowd favorite coming in, you think? Or?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. She's bossy Tong. She's a big deal.
I guess to that point, what do you think makes a successful trainer?
What makes a good trainer? I think balance. Yeah. So I think, like, kind of knowing when to push and when not to push. Yeah. And then also, yeah, because I think it's a very delicate balance, just like knowing when to push them harder or when it's kind of time to call it for the day. And I think that's something that, yeah, like Crew Lai has kind of found that with me. I also worked with a lot with Thai Sbano after I came back from Thailand in April 2020. So during the pandemic time, like, I started training with Thai. He helped me, like, a lot with my boxing. He's more of a kickboxing style. So probably a little bit to Bunker's chagrin, I kind of branched out a little bit on my basics, but I think, like, it was important, and it was very beneficial. But Ty was also kind of very good about knowing, like, when to push and when to call it.
And I guess on the flip side, what makes a successful student?
Listen. Do not, even if you think you know better. I see so many guys out here who they want to argue with the coach, who just don't, like, or who maybe you're tired and they're telling you to do something. And I think, like, a good student, like, shut up and do the work. And a lot of people either think they know better or lack that maturity. But yeah, I think that's a big one.
Yeah.
Cool. I guess we have a couple more questions before we jump into the rapid fire. So
yeah, kind of wrapping up here, but
yeah.
Last questions for you. Was there something or anything that surprised you about Muay Thai when you first kind of got introduced to it?
What surprised me? I mean, it's something I've kind of accepted now, but there's a big difference between, like, men and women in Muay Thai and different customs, and some of that is changing. And I think a lot of people credit, like, Stamp Fairtex with kind of starting, like, to change things for women, because I think before, women, like, I mean, at the end of the day, especially in Thailand, it's about money, it's about gambling. The men make more money, the men's fight are more interesting, or whatever they're going to say. But I think Stamp really kind of led the way for women and kind of making women's fights, like, putting them on the map. Yeah, I've gotten used to it. But, like, I mean, if some people are like, you go under the ropes and the guys go over, and I'm just like, yeah. You know, like,
oh, is that a thing? I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. So, like, when you go to fight, and even if you're not fighting, like, maybe we just had someone fight and we're all going to go in the ring to take a picture. Everyone can go through the ropes, but the females, we have to, like, roll under the ropes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so at the start of a fight, they'll pull the ropes down for a guy to go over the top rope, but women, they kind of, like, pull them up so you can, like, get under there.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's definitely some, like, gender disparity.
Yeah.
But I think, like, at my gym, I feel respected. I think, like, even, like, with the time I've been there and the work that I've put in, like, I'm treated exactly the same as everybody. So, I mean, that's not something I've run into at my gym, but I know, like, other females kind of have complained, or I've just heard about things that happen at other gyms. So I think it's a male dominated sport. So it's always going to be a little challenging, or, you know, egos and just kind of different things. Yeah.
Do you have any tips or advice for somebody who's new and coming into Muay Thai?
I'd say to be consistent. I think that's really important. It's not going to happen fast, and it's not going to happen through osmosis. So I think like those 10,000 hours is just a good theory, and you kind of just got to go in. I think also watching fights is important, because I see like some people come in and maybe they're like drilling the basics, and then but they don't necessarily know what to do. And I think for me, I was so new to Muay Thai in the beginning that like the first couple times I got into like the ring was like, what do I do? You know? So I think it's important to like watch fights too and kind of see how Muay Thai is done.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, I got a few rapid fire questions for you. So quick questions, no wrong answers. Do you have a favorite exercise?
Favorite exercise? I think anything with bands for hips and shoulders is really important.
Yeah. And do you have a least favorite?
Pull-ups, but I think they're really, really important, and I try to keep myself honest and do my pull-ups every day, but they're not fun.
No. And do you have like a favorite pair of gloves, brand of gloves?
You know, they are my sponsor, but I feel extremely lucky because I think their gear is incredible. Primo Fightwear, for sure.
And then best local Thai food around you?
There's a place we call the Chicken Shack. And I don't take everybody there because it's my best kept secret, but it's like Isan style. Like I said, the Soy, which is like the area where I live, it's very touristy, and there's a lot of like Western food, which is nice. Then this is a little gem.
Nice. And then do you have a pre-fight meal?
A pre-fight meal?
Yeah.
Okay, so every time after I make weight, I always have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Nice. Yeah, classic. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate your time, and thank you for talking with us today. And for folks watching, if you like these videos, please like and subscribe. And thank you.
Thanks, guys.